Hello, welcome to Sunday League Virtual Season 2, Round 5 here for the Hungarian Grand Prix. We're back once more at Hungary, the famous track where Team Velocity took their first pole position, fastest lap win, I believe. Let me actually check, whoopsie. Track that we raced at last season, in short. And it was a very successful one. There was some drama with rain early on in the race, and it proved out to be a really exciting one. I missed the checkered flag last time. I'll make sure not to do that this time, I promise. But yeah, no, it was a really fun race. Really good job from all of them. Yes, it was a Eurist win. Yoshi Josh P4, fastest lap, and pole position. So fantastic for the team that we're currently on board with, the man who took that pole position last time around. Let's see how we can do this time in terms of the team upgrades. Let's run through these, just popping them up at the bottom of your screen. Only 3 this week. Team Velocity, the historically good team at this track, getting a grip upgrade, which definitely can't hurt, as well as ThunderX also getting a grip upgrade, and WTech getting an acceleration upgrade. FVR and KRT, PMP all fail acceleration, SFR, BAR, SBM all fail grip, and BFX unsurprisingly fail speed. So low upgrade last week, as mentioned in the upgrade video. It's pretty similar playing field to what we had last time around in Baku, but a very different type of track. Baku with its long straights, and Hungarian with its very grip intensive and tricky corners. Let's see how all of the drivers have gotten on here come the end of the qualifying session, and who will be on pole position. Rito on pole by less than a tenth of a second, Vlado 204. Alongside him on the front row, Goose starting third, our pole sitter last time around. Uris will be in 4th place. Anti starts 5th, Bluebell Boy in 6th place. He'll be starting on the 3rd row. Ikolovsky in 7th, and Kubo 8th. Grandi in 9th, and G4 in the PMP car that finished 1-2 last race. Spoilers if you haven't watched it. Starts 10th, Spuda in 11th place, Vlado 1 in 12th, caught myself there. Andres in 13th place, Levioso 14th, and Jaruni, Pit Crew, Sobel, Menica, Hernandi, and Jake Brad last in the field. Interesting Ikolovsky. I've actually just wanted to check this really quickly because he sort of started the season relatively well, and then is just one of those drivers who tailed off a little bit, I think it would be fair to say, because he, started with a 2nd place, then 16th, 10th, and 14th. Let's see if he can finally get some points today, but I think you've all been waiting for the token spendage. Sorry, somebody's hoovering outside my room at the moment. Token spendage, Eurist, spending 3 tokens, will be starting in 4th place. Other high token spenders, Game On Goose spending 3 tokens a day, starting in 3rd. Anti spending 4 tokens, starting in 5th. Vlado 2 spending 4 tokens, starting in 2nd. Rito only spending 2, takes pole position, interestingly enough. Then our single token spenders are Vlad 01, who I believe started in 12th place, if we have a little look down the order, he is. And then the other token single spender, G4 in 10th, and Ikolovsky in 7th. Those are your 8 token spenders of the day. Shout out to those such as Bluebell Boy and Kubo, as well as Grandi and Spuda, who are starting in the top 11 without spending a single token. We're ready to get underway for the race. I'll pop up that token spendage chart when it's relevant. In fact, let's just have a little look one more time, because on the left we have the tokens remaining to be spent in the races after this one. So there are 6 races left in which drivers can spend tokens. The highest is Spuda and Bluebell Boy, still having 9 each left to spend. Bluebell can start in 6th place on 0 tokens and still have 9 left to spend in 6 races. I fear he might absolutely dominate this championship. And then Eurist with only 3 tokens left to spend. Similar with Anti, only 3, and Sobel, Lev, and Vlado 2, only 4. Right, we'll get rid of this and let's get some bloody racing action here on a Tuesday afternoon in Hungary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights ahead of the drivers. We're underway here at the Hungaroring. Our pole sitter Rito starting on the hard compound tyre. Vlad looks to get the better start, goes down the inside into turn 1. He will take the lead of the race. Jurist in third place still. Goose behind. He's starting down into fourth. Now Anti and Bluebell scrapping it out. Anti on the hards. Can he go to the outside of Goose? Turns into the inside for the sweeping right hand hairpin. They reach the chicane. Goose backs out. Anti takes the position. Jurist scrapping here through. He's up into first place already from fourth on the grid. Vlad 02 dropping down, maintaining position rather into second. Rito on those hards dropped into third. Goose ahead of Anti and Bluebell. Then comes Kubo. Big battle in the background. Grandi and G4, Vlad 01. Sober behind them. They've got the W-Tex and Jaruni battling into turn 1 as well. Jaruni comes off worse. He's down to 15th place. Both W-Tex battling each other on the soft compound tyre. G4 uses a bit of boost there, gets through on Grandi. Ikoloski to the inside of Kubo. Battles going on up and down the field. Ikoloski dives into the chicane there. Very tight corner. Very bad if it does go wrong for you. As we've seen many times in the past, and he has to really take the risk. Bluebell to the inside, now around the outside into the penultimate corner, up into 5th place. He'll overtake Goose for that. Rito in 4th, and Anti, Vlad 02, and Jurist. Anti with a good start. All the high token spenders back into the positions where they realistically should be. So yeah, only 8 people spending tokens this race. Obviously more than last time around with just 5 people spending tokens. I think combined total of 12 tokens spent from the 20 drivers. Here it's a little bit more like 19, which is more reasonable, but we've got some definite high token spenders. Anti and Vlad 02 both spending 4 tokens. Jurist and Game on Goose both spending 3 tokens. So one of those, most likely a 3 token spender, will end up disappointed and off the podium. It's currently looking like it might be Game on Goose, who has saved all of his tokens up until this point. This is the first race in which he's spent tokens, and he's currently running in 6th place. Anti making a move on Rito. Anti using 4 tokens, Rito using 2. Bluebell is going to help his teammate if he has any say in it, and he does go down the inside into that right hand kink. Anti getting a poor exit. Bluebell capitalising on it, and Bluebell will not be looking to attack his teammate here. He just wants to hold off the competition. The new team on the block, BFX, taking the car that won the Constructors' Championship last season, and despite the regulation change, have really built it back up into a monster of a car. Of course, last time out in Baku, they managed to finish, I believe it was 6th and 8th, 12 points without spending a single token. Simply marvellous from the BFX team. Anti now right on the tail of Bluebell, who's trying to hold him up and Goose up at the same time. Anti to the outside and files into the penultimate corner ahead of Bluebell, who has to just go in cautious. Goose looks to get the better exit from that final corner. Can he drag all the way down the straight side by side heading into turn 1? Goose to the outside, gets the grip just about on the exit. Little snap of oversteer, but he does get the car properly aligned, and he's now up into 5th. They both get through a Bluebell, who despite being on the faster tyre currently is not providing any real challenge. Vlad 02 in the lead of the race. Meanwhile, Eurus dropped back down to 3rd. Rito still hanging around in 2nd place. That defensive work from his teammate has really worked out. He's now about 2-3 seconds clear of those behind, namely Anti and Game on Goose. Eurus is our first car into the pits on just lap 6. Pits off his softs and on to a set of mediums. Bluebell in behind him hits that final pit box given to the brand new team. The W-Tex double stacking here. They don't lose too much time through it, actually. They file in quite nicely, but they will come up pretty low down the order. Spuda, Jake Brad goes through there, meaning the W-Tex are in 16th and 17th positions. Hatmeneka and Andy also into the pit. They're the final 2. Rito on his hards finally gets through on Vlad 02 on the softs. Softs now properly worn out. Let's see if Eurus 1 lap undercuts on Vlad 02, as it was, can get him good position here. Eurus behind Ikoloski, who's yet to stop, comes through down the main straight. Very long, slow pit exit, side by side into turn 1. Eurus just sends it in. Does get the undercut just about, but definitely not solidified it, because Vlad 02 comes back down the inside into turn 2, takes that position, now has a good enough gap to Eurus. Ikoloski, Grandi, Anti and Rito all yet to pit. Yeah, it would be impressive for Grandi to get a good result here today. He's currently running in 3rd, albeit most of the field, most of the front runners at least, having pitted already. Vlad 02 gets ahead of Ikolowski, Eurus chasing him down. Now this is for the lead of the race, as it is currently the net lead of the race, rather, because once the hard compound runners of Rito and Anti come in, they will, of course, be undercut by these drivers who ran much softer tyres right at the start of the race. But that's not to say that that counts Rito and Anti out of race-winning contention. That simply means that they go on a very alternate strategy that then could swing back into their favour, particularly if there's some rain on the way over the next couple laps, which there could be, you never know. Team Velocity chasing down KRT. KRT having a bit of a funny season this time around. They've not scored too many points, only 25. A second place plus fastest lap from Vlad, the man himself, his first ever podium in Sepang, as well as a P7 in Monte Carlo from Hernandi. Are their only point scorings of the season so far. They failed to score in Buenos Aires and in Baku. So let's see if they can come on for a second podium of the season, boost their contention a bit more. We see the hard runners finally in. Rito ahead of Anti. Anti not able to get back past Rito just yet. Anti, of course, despite using 4 tokens this race, Rito just 2, so it is a very good showing that Rito's still up there in third place, in actual third place, not with any funny pit stop business, and that he's managed to maintain that position. But Anti looks to the inside, coming into these sweeping chicanes. Can he get a move? He just couldn't find the room around the outside. Might go for it here. Rito doesn't have the straight line speed coming down to that corner. Anti gets a really good exit and really solidifies that advantage over Rito. Gets a better exit out through the final corner using a bit of boost, heads into turn 1 in third place. Eurus having massively fallen off the back of Vlad. They're on the same compound of tyre, both running the medium here today, in this stint rather. So it's interesting there, Eurus of course having undercutted. That makes complete sense that he's having 1 lap older tyre for every single lap that they run. So Vlad should have the overall pace advantage here. But pit crew being the first car lapped, Anti still ahead of Rito, but Rito gets a really good exit out through the final corner. Can he use a bit of boost? Anti uses his boost to defend there very tactfully and does manage to stay ahead going into turn 1. Rito doesn't get the best exit nor the best line through turn 2 and has already dropped to about 6/10 back from the finished driver. This is a really fascinating battle for the podium, but Goose definitely needs to have a say in this. He's spending 3 tokens today. Would be aghast to spend that many, still finishing behind somebody spending just 2. The top 5 as it is pretty spread out. We'll have a little look down the rest of the order. Bluebell still in 6th. He's running very nicely there considering he's spending no tokens. He got 6th place with no tokens last race, remember, but he does need to pit. He'll give that position up to Grandi, who's also been looking very strong. THX, of course, with their grip upgrade for this week, and this is a very grip dependent track in a lot of places, but Bluebell, it looks like, will come out in 9th place on his fresh mediums, not too shabby at all. Sobel in 10th. How? Spending no tokens on hards that still have a bit of life left in them for sure. Ecolossi, here's a token spender at last. Using the 1 today. Kubo not spending any. Grandi not spending any. Our only other 1 token users are Vlad 01, who is down in, Jesus Christ, 15th place, and G4, who's a little bit ahead of him in 13th. So really curious to see the likes of Kubo and the likes of Bluebell doing really well on no token spends, well 1 token spenders with inferior cars, because let's be honest, that is what it has to be down to. Not able to perform nearly as well. Kubo in 6th place. Ekolowski, as you saw there, just coming out of the, Goose coming out of the pit lane, getting through on Ekolowski. He gets through on Kubo now, up into 6th place. Needs to clear Grandi and get back into the fight for the podium. Meanwhile, Eurus comes into the pit. He's at the exit now and will stay ahead of Grandi pretty comfortably. Hernandi also in. He is now a lap down in last place. His teammate leads the race. Rito in 2nd, Anti in 3rd, pretty much as you were. Vlad, as a little reminder, spending 4 tokens, as is Anti. We'll pull it up now. As you can see here, Anti and Vlad spending 4, Eurus and Goose spending 3 each. 2 from Rito, who's doing remarkably well with that spend, and 1 from Vlad 01, Ekolowski and G4. Antti and Vlad both into the pit lane. They fall down into second and third positions. Rita comes through, Antti down to fourth as Eurus does get in between them as Antti comes out of the pit lane. Eurus is ahead of him and manages to boost ahead of Vlad. He's once again pulled the undercut, but this time, interestingly enough, doesn't want to suffer the performance loss of having all the tyres than Vlad. So he's gone for the hards, which is really interesting because those hards with only a 1 lap undercut will be able to last longer than Vlad's mediums by the end of their respective stints. Eurus should swing back into the pace advantage. It's all about how much he can hold up Vlad now. Obviously Eurus slightly at the disadvantage of spending a token less than Vlad and Antti, but he has the potential to finish ahead of both of them. Rito, using 2 tokens, may I remind you if I hadn't mentioned that already, I'm not sure if I had, using 2 bloody tokens, in the lead of the race by 8 seconds. He does not come into the pit lane, like he would for a second, but he does have about a pit stops gap, not quite, because this is the longest pit lane of the season, hence the reluctance from Bluebell. Remember, this time last season he was 15 seconds clear of third place, running in second on the inters, and because of the sheer length of the pit exit, just didn't want to risk pitting onto the extreme wet weather tyres. He didn't. He ran the inters for however long it rained for, quite a long period of time, and lost second place despite having a enormous advantage. Rito, the race leader, in to the pit lane. Who'll inherit the race lead? It looks to be Eurus, but he's a little bit back still. Flies down the main straight with a little bit of boost to flare it. Now Rito comes out behind Antti and Vlad, but on softer and fresher tyres. Don't count him out for a race win, a shock race win, you'd probably say. But in what is a very, very strong car, Eurus has a 2-second advantage out in front running the hard, Vlad on the medium. As previously discussed, Eurus looked to have the disadvantage to Vlad earlier on, having gone for the undercut, having all the tyres, with Vlad able to pull a gap, but Eurus taking the hards, which seemed to be a pretty good race tyre in Hungary, unlike in real life, is able to get into the lead of the race. Speedo drifts wide to let Antti through. This is your racing reminder that lapped cars have no obligation to get out of the way. They may fight like it is 4th position, but that would be quite stupid. Rito in 4th place, still not really able to make any gains. Got a battle for the lead though. Vlad to the inside at the right-hander. Can he keep it? Going down into the sharp corner, 3rd to last corner as they round the final 2 hairpins. This is really, really where grip and acceleration come into play, with those immensely tight bends where you sweep 180 degrees twice. Eurus through that final sector and just the start of the lap able to make some gains back on Vlad, so we'll see if he can challenge him back for the lead of the race. But remember, the hards are slower in a straight line, so particularly through sector 1 he's going to be losing a lot of ground. Can he make some gains into sector 2? The gap is 5 tenths at the moment, still about that 3 tenths, 4 tenths now. Eurus gets a good exit through the final corner. The gap still remaining at 4 tenths. They both use boost coming into turn 1. Vlad overcooks it, goes slightly wide. That looks to have opened up an opportunity for Eurus, but he doesn't get the best exit himself. They round through turn 3 here, up into turn 4, the kink to the left, turn 5, the hairpin, 6 and 7, the chicanes, 8 and 9, the slightly more open chicanes, 10, the kink to the left, 11, the kink to the right, 12, this sharp right-hander with the gravel on the inside, then 13 and 14. Meanwhile, I'll be giving you the little corner rundown. Rito is up into the battle. He's overtaken Antti, he's closed the gap, and he looks to get past Eurus here. Side by side, they go into turn 1. Rito gets the slight advantage, but goes in way deep, just really locks the brakes there. Eurus back through for second place. Rito to the inside coming into turn 3, does get the position there at last. Rito on softs that are fresher than Eurus hards and Vlad's mediums. Looks a terrifying prospect at the moment, but he needs to discover if that 2 token spendage can still carry this good race pace to the checkered flag. 3-way fight for the lead here, coming on to lap 25 at the Hungaroring. Eurus gets a good exit through the final corner. The good acceleration upgrades on that car, getting them faster, really working out, but goes deep into that corner as Rito did just 1 lap ago. Rito takes back that position. Rito to the outside of Vlado 2, going into turn 4. up the inside into turn 5, defends off on the exit of that corner, and Rito takes the lead, the Hungarian Grand Prix, but massively messes up the chicanes. Vlad back to the inside, Rito scraps back, he's not giving this one up yet. Vlad to the outside coming into the penultimate corner, can he craft something? Coming into the final one, Eurus takes a wide line through there, Rito and Vlad in at the same time. Eurus and Antti go through for first and second, but crucially, Rito on the softs has managed to just about get himself ahead of Vlad as they both came into the stop. So what was an alternate strategy with Rito running the hard just a couple stints ago has now aligned him back with Vlad. They pit at the same time, Rito ahead, and on the soft, looking to try and break away from Vlad, use that clean air ahead of him, a lot of clean air, 8 seconds behind Antti, to his advantage, break away, put in some good lap times, and hope and pray that the soft is the best race tyre. Eurus and Antti both in 1 lap later. That's the entertaining thing about this race, the fact that these strategies are very similar, only a lap or so in the overcuts and undercuts. Eurus and Antti far the way through to the pit lane exit, and it looks like that undercut in this grip-dependent track has worked perfectly for Rito and Vlad. They're up into first and second, Eurus third, Antti in fourth. Goose remaining in 5th place, 8 seconds off the drivers in 4th who've just pitted. Goose also himself recently having pitted, but he's spending 3 goddamn tokens. How can you be spending 3 tokens and not even be sniffing at these drivers ahead who are using all pretty much the same spend as you? Bluebell using none, only 5 seconds back from Goose in 6th place. Kubo in 7th, also using none. Grandy in 8th, also using none. EK using 1 in 9th. Vlad using 1 in 10th. Levioso, Giroudi, Sobel, Andrew, Spooner not using any. G4 in 16th. PMP working miracles last time around with a 1-2 finish, but that is, well, in terms of result across the season, probably the biggest shock that you could get with the low token spend and the perfect token strategy from the PMP team. They managed to spend just 6 tokens between their 2 drivers and bring home Sunday League Virtual's first ever 1-2 finish. Doesn't look like a single token spend in what is a more competitive grid today will be working out for him. He's in 16th. Pit crew, Jake Brad and Menica Hernandi is the rest of your order. Hernandi's struggling down there. Vlad having a bit of issues with Hetmanica. That doesn't look to be a particularly fast car, the Spa Motorsport singular rather. Unfortunately for them, Rito though still out in the lead of the race. Then we've got Vlad back, Eurus and Antti the top 4 as they were. Goose still there 5th. Bluebell, then Kubo, EK Grandly comes into the pit lane. He'll cede position to Vlad 01, so I'll drop my pen, and he'll go down into 10th. Sobel a lap down from Goose, running in 5th. Not really looking like he'll be able to challenge the points runners, but we'll see once Vlad 01 comes into the pit lane. It should be at the end of this lap. We'll follow on board with him for the remainder of it before we flitter back to that fight for the podium as we come on to lap 30 of this Grand Prix. Vlad coming into the pit lane. Grandy, having pitted, has caught him already. We'll see if this promotes Sobel up into the points. Sobel rounding the final corner again, a lap down from Goose, a lap up from Hernandi. Vlad puts on those new tyres. Sobel up into 10th place on hards that still have a bit of ways to go. Giroudi behind pits in. G4 up to 13th place now, but Vlad will come out comfortably ahead of the both of them. Rito, Vlad and Antti is your running order. Antti battling Eurus as they have verbally and on track many a time. Antti to the inside going into the final corner, a tighter line there, but he really pushes Eurus wide on the exit, not off the track, so it's all fair game. Eurus though gets a better drag down that straight with the acceleration upgrades. Again though, just carries too much speed into turn 1, goes deep and can't quite manage to keep the position. Antti looking strong here, having come into the pit lane is Rito. It'll be his final stint. Just 11 more laps on the hards separating him, currently off the podium with a race win against not quite all the odds, but I'd say a lot of them, because 2 token spend is not a lot. And obviously in the early days of Sunday League Virtual, when it was all a tokenocracy, and you pretty much see the drivers always finishing the positions that they spent in, seeing a driver beat multiple 4 and 3 token spenders, only using 2. Not just a miracle, which obviously, you know, good luck. It's a good happenstance for the team, but it's also particularly a really good sign after BFX were able to score 12 points last time around in Baku, spending no tokens, that they'd be able to actually have race-winning pace. Yes, race-winning pace, spending 2 tokens fewer than the competition. So that is a fantastic sign for how their car development has been going. Rito, still in 4th place, he's actually fallen back. That's really interesting. He's 7 seconds behind Antti and Eurus, but obviously everyone in the top 3 still needs to make a stop. They'll all be in the next 2 laps, by my sort of guesstimation there. They're all pretty close. I think only about a second and a half covering the top 3. Vlad stays out, Antti stays out, Eurus stays out. No particular overtakes looking to be happening here. Eurus only 8/10 back from Antti, who gets a poor exit, but so does Eurus. Not the easiest thing to do when your tyres are pretty badly worn down. In fact, Eurus teammate Kubo, running in 8th place, would really appreciate unlapping himself currently, as he is catching up to his teammate here. But he's not particularly fighting anyone. He's got gaps 6.5 seconds ahead, 6.5 seconds behind. He's pretty comfortable running with those 4 points, which from 0 tokens is a fantastic result. Vlad into the pit lane. Antti takes the race lead. Eurus also into the pits, taking the first pit box. Vlad into the last pit box. We've had no rain so far this race, but that cloud level really hovering dangerously. As I say that, it's receded a little bit, but was really hovering dangerously over a potential spout of rain. It's receded back. We're going to have a lovely bit of sunshine here for the final few laps, at least, in Hungary. Antti's still out in the lead. Will he come into the pit lane this lap? It looks like he stays out again, so he's going to have a very short stint on the softs to finish off, just 6 laps. The question is, how much impact are you really able to make on a 6-lap stint on the softs? Because especially with lapped cars, which, you know, don't usually have the pace to hold you up that well, especially on fresh, soft compound tyres towards the end of the race. But they obviously can get in the way. They will obstruct. They're fine to do so. But yeah, it's an interesting strategy to go for a very short and very late stint to try and just pull yourself as far up as you can, particularly when it'll probably relegate him off the podium. Stays out for another lap. Is he going to try and take it to the end? He only has a 3-second gap on Rito, who obviously leapfrogged Eurus and Vlad when they came into the pits on the same lap just a couple laps ago. I'm not sure what Antti's doing here. He is currently out in the lead of the race. He's 4 seconds ahead of Rito, who is on the hards. The hards obviously are wearing out, but he is catching Antti. Antti won't really have the tyre life to last to the end of the race, but the AI do like to pull these funny strategies of just stretching as long as they can for the final stint. He finally does come in, gets shoved off by Ikoloski, the lapped car, and he immediately loses position to Rito and Vlad. Eurus comes across the line to take as well. Game on Goose spending 3 tokens, well cut off this pack. He's running in a lap of his own pretty much, in 5th place. And he comes out of the pit lane on these softs with a 6-second gap to Eurus. Rito versus Vlad for the lead of the race. Remember, Rito stopped on lap 31 for the hards. Vlad stopped on, I believe, lap 36 for the softs. So Vlad has the softer and fresher tyres, but Rito pulling a big undercut. He looked very, very good to win the race. For the entire race, he's led a lot of it. He's been in fierce competition for it, but with just 3 laps to go, the question is begged, can he bring home what would be a win? Very much improbable coming into this race. Jaruni gets in the way. Vlad forced wide into the sweeping chicanes. Rito holds on for a little bit longer. Vlad gets a bad exit, but gets immediate drag out through that right-hander. Rito defends into the final 3 corners. Vlad takes a wider line. Can he go to the inside into the final corner? He looks like he tried to, but he'll get a bad exit because of it. Rito goes on to lap 41, the penultimate lap of the race, still in the lead. Vlad in 2nd place. Don't count out Eurus. He's in 3rd. Antti in 4th. Even we've got a 4-way battle for the podium, as it has been for pretty much the entire race long. Vlad still behind Rito. He looked really dangerous through the mid-sector, the second sector of last lap. This time around, he's not quite packing that same threat. He's now 7/10 back from Rito. Vlad's tyres, Vlad's softs really starting to wear out as well. They're getting properly yellow on the tyre life meter. As we see Bluebell pitting in for a final stop. Bit of a weird decision with just one lap to go, but obviously he's got a couple more still to run. Looking for a top 10 finish. Rito, his teammate, looking for the win here, as Vlad's still chasing him down through the chicanes. He needs a good run through these sweepers, but he goes wide on the exit there, loses a bunch of time going onto the grass there, and Rito will come through to the third to last corner, to the second to last corner, to the final corner, drags his way out of it, and Rito will just about hang on and unexpectedly win the Hungarian Grand Prix. Vlad not able to take the first win of his career. He'll finish just second place by under a second from the winner. Jurist in third place, Antti in fourth, Goose now just finishes in fifth, Bluebell in sixth. That late stop pulling him well back from Goose, but still ahead of Ikolowski, who looks to finish in seventh place using one token today. Not a bad return for him. Rito, by under a second, wins in Hungary. Vlado 2 takes his second place finish of the season. Eurus third place, and Team Velocity once again taking the fastest lap. Antti in fourth. Quite likes that position both in real Sunday League and the virtual counterpart. Goose, fifth place for him. Bluebell 40 seconds back from the race lead, but he won't care. Sixth place, spending no tokens. What a fantastic points haul for BBB Force X. Ikolowski taking seventh place for BAR. Kubo 8th for Velocity. Vlad 01 9th place for SFR, and Grandy, spending no tokens, will absolutely take a 10th place for Thunder X. Just outside the points, Jaruni 11th, Sobel 12th for Phoenix Motorsports, clearly having superior strategy over his teammate G4, who spent a token but only finished 14th. Levioso splits them. The W-Techs finish in 15th and 16th. Pit Crew 17th for Thunder X. Hetmedica down the order in 18th. Your final two, Jake Brandon Nandi 19th and 20th. A fantastic race here in Hungary. Really great fight for the podium, great fight for the win, and a winner who coming into the race wouldn't look to be the favourite for sure. A lot of token spending, but beaten by somebody who is looking to be clearly in a superior car. His teammate spending no tokens, still getting best of the rest. It's been a fantastic race today. I really hope you join us next time out in a track new to the Sunday League virtual calendar, Mugello. Until next time, bye bye.